There's different things like fireball jutsus, there's water style jutsus, there's wind style jutsus, there's earth style jutsus. And these things are never used and seen practically. Hey everyone, welcome to the Friedink Podcast with me, RegntheGovernor. In this podcast, we're going to go over different story, ideas, tropes, and concepts that I kind of go over with myself and I think about deeply as I kind of go through my own writing journey and bringing up discussion and opening dialogue on these different topics as I grow as a writer, and hopefully something that you can use as you think about your own story and creating this world that you want to create to show to other people. Today's topic is going to be about world abilities and power systems and how we can create a more practical use for the abilities and strengths that are within the characters of this fantasy world that a lot of people like to create. When I think about world abilities, power systems, the power source of what a lot of worlds kind of go off of, I think a lot of towards the thing that inspired me, anime and manga. You have the different worlds like Naruto and Chakra, or Dragon Ball Z and Ki, or One Piece and the Haki or the Devil Fruits and things like that. Most of the time when you look at these universes, I kind of come from the concept that when I create a world, I am essentially the god of this world. I'm creating, starting from creation, Big Bang, boom, made everything from dust. And now I have to kind of say what is going to be here. But if we go into this concept of creating a world and a universe and we say, oh, but I want this to be the power system, I want this to be the power structure and the abilities that they have. When we make it so that they have these really cool abilities and strengths and powers just to fight against each other, and we only ever see them used in battle and combat, it almost kind of brings the question, would a god of a universe give the people of the world, of the universe, however big this world that you've created is, would you give them powers just to battle against each other to the death? And I think for a lot of things, especially when we look at our world, our reality, and whether you see a higher deity that created these things or not, everything plays a part in itself in the practicality of what we do day to day. Whether it's our intelligence, our strength, our physicality, our emotions, and how we use those things to navigate daily life, but also in very specific situations. I think that is something to look a little deeper into when we also think about power systems and powers that these characters have. I see it oftentimes used a lot more regularly in comic books, like you watch The Incredibles or even Invincible. In The Incredibles, you see how Violet, she uses her invisibility to avoid people that her crush that she doesn't want to be seen by at the moment. Or Dash, who, to play a prank on his teacher, uses his super speed to put a thumbtack on the teacher's seat. Or when Elastigirl needs to rally up the kids, she uses her flexibility and stretching ability to grab the kids and hold them down while they're all kind of fighting around the table. All of these things create this practicality that is not just a regular part of, it's not just something they use to fight crime, but it's a regular part of their daily lives. It is something that they consider as just a second part of themselves, or a complete part of themselves, something that makes them whole and who they are. Whether it is suppressed or not, they're going to use it within their home. Now you go on the flip side, you look at Naruto, and specifically that's a show I watched thoroughly. I read the manga. That was my first story I've ever read. I would say outside of maybe the pranks Naruto pulled, or some side things that the anime added in what do you usually call those episodes? The filler episodes. Whether you see the filler episodes, there are rarely moments where the characters are using their abilities to fire up a stove. There's different things like fireball jutsus, there's water style jutsus, there's wind style jutsus, there's earth style jutsus. And these things are never used and seen practically in their daily world to create a home, to restructure different aspects of the world if there was something destroyed. And if it is, it's brought on way far later down the line, when you're already kind of bought into this idea that it's just kind of, you're waiting for the next fight, which can create, even when you think about that, it can create that waiting for the next fight kind of idea. When you want to see these abilities used, you want to see how these abilities play out. And since it's not bled into the world that is there, each fight is what carries your knowledge of the abilities and the techniques that are within the universe. And I think that can have audiences maybe sometimes missing the very deeper parts of what you wanted to place within the story, because there's almost all the dialogue and things in between. If it's not talking about the techniques or the fighting, it's filler. It's things that people are just kind of anticipating to be things that they can skip because they just want to watch the next thing happen, which would be the next fight, because the abilities aren't shown in any other format other than that. You look at Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist, alchemy was a part of their world. Alchemy was things they used, whether it was to try to bring back a life, or just restructure a building, or fight an animal to hunt them, and salvage food. There was so much that, yes, they did use alchemy a lot in the major battles, and that was a huge thing within it. But the way alchemy worked, how they had to, if it wasn't for the people who seen the truth, the door of truth, that were just able to clap their hands and everything, everyone had to use these different insignias or make chemical components to then do what they wanted to do. And that is you look at how there were scientists, alchemists, there were all different kind of people who were within this universe that created what the structure of alchemy looked like, and how it could navigate through that. So there's just so much when you look at some of the greater stories that have abilities, that have, with a good amount of action, there's so much that can be done when you really dive deeper into and consider, why am I giving this character the ability of flight? Why am I giving this character the ability of super speed? Why am I giving this character the ability to use fire? Why did I make chi the ultimate source of power within the universe? Now, we all are perfectly fine with our different battle shonens, different battle just series where we are just waiting for the next fight. You Dragon Ball Z is super popular because of that. You have Solo Leveling, you have Baki, you have so many different shows that operate on just wanting to see strong people fight each other. But if you are like me and want to really consider how to make the core of everything that you've done be truly a part of the story that you're creating, I think making a practical approach and showing in very small practical ways how these characters go into the world that they are placed within and use their powers to navigate that world, whether it helps them or hinders them, which could create a potentially more immersive space for the reader. Think about as the reader's reading and your character has to go through different scenarios, navigating relationships, and maybe even comical moments where you may sit there and be like, oh, they could use their ability here, and it actually happens. Or they're maybe unsure of how those abilities and how far those abilities can be used, and you show it in a way where it expands their mind and makes them think, wow, like there's so many uses for whatever this character is able to do, or whatever these characters can do within the world as a whole. And I think that just opens up the door in so many ways. Using myself as an example, as I write my manga, Hunters of Illumis, I think a lot about how the abilities are used within the world, and by placing it really within the religious aspects, how they give their energy back to God through the church, how it plays within the social and political aspects within the world, whether people have the ability of light or they don't, and how they just use it from day to day, whether navigating through the dark, or how different animals and beings within the universe use this power of God's light as well. If you read my story, you'll know more about God's fragment and the power of Loomis and everything that plays within that. But all of those things have a crucial role. At least I try my best to place that in a role that goes further than just them fighting the shadows that they have to fight with the power of Loomis. And I think that hopefully brings in the readers to think a little more deeper about what the power means and why, and what the characters can do as different things come about, rather than, like I said plenty of times before, having the readers wait just for the next fight to happen to really get going with all the things that can happen. Because I don't want them to skip any moment that's there, because everything can be interesting if we look at the world abilities in just a little more interesting ways. I'm glad for y'all to be here. This is one of many videos of the Friedink Podcast. I'm so excited that you guys got to listen to my thoughts on world abilities. If you want to get more content like this and you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you can be notified whenever another video drops. I'll be doing more of these as time goes on, letting you guys know about different thoughts of story writing that I have over time. If you want more content based on my manga and on my art journey, you can follow me on social media. The links will be in the description below. And if you also want a copy of Hunters of Illumis Volume 1. Volume 2 is on the way. So if you want to get your hands on Volume 1, also hit the link in the description, or go to www.friedankmanga.com to get yourself a copy. So glad for you guys being here. I'll see y'all later.